Caddis Maximus here, this time with a review of the GM PowerTorque / ToPeak micro bit ratchet reversing. This is like a microscopic pearhead ratchet. It's designed exactly the same way. It really is built pretty nicely. ToPeak actually came out, it's a bicycle tool company, has had these for 7 years, probably 5, 6, 7 years, quite a while. And I'm not going to beat up ToPeak too much about it because I do like their products. I have one of their original Alien tools, which has been quite excellent. But the problem was it was $30. It did come with 12 bits, where this set comes with only 8. But this has a hard case, where the ToPeak is a nylon case. And it only had a 2-year warranty. So the big deal about this PowerTorque, surprisingly enough, all these years later, they did a big bulk buy. $15 on the shelf with 8 bits, and it has the PowerTorque lifetime warranty, which actually would mean something on a little ratchet that you might be likely to blow out just because you're in one of those situations. Now, this is going to be one of the world's smallest ratchets as far as head width, and really no joke. I was looking, and there's probably 50 to 100 different quarter-inch drive, micro quarter-inch square drive ratchets and micro quarter-inch hex bit ratchets. Really surprising. I mean, the only way you're going to get a narrower head is like with a ratcheting box wrench. And that's what I'm going to really talk about. It actually has a nice ratchet mechanism. I really like it. It's a sintered hardened steel center section. There's just too many details for how small it is for them to actually machine that piece. But it's really pretty well made. You got a clip, and then the center anvil portion. You got a little pawl, a spring, a separately made little switch here that you can... My camera's having a hard time here. That you can see is really nice definition in all the casting in this. Pretty straight beam. They did put a quarter-inch hex with a little magnet, neodymium magnet, so you can take any sort of bits and then put them in the back. So as a screwdriver, you can break fasteners and then flip it over and just use it like a normal screwdriver. It does have a pretty stiff spring for the reverse lever, so it's actually not as easy to accidentally hit it as you would think. It doesn't have any issues with self-reversing, which can happen. This uses a single pawl design. You can really tell because when you do the reverse lever, the whole anvil rotates quite a bit as it drags the pawl from one pinch side to the other. But fortunately, they were smart enough to include a really strong detent to prevent the switch from doing that. It's also a flush mount switch, so I really think it's pretty darn neat. Of course, it's a bit driver, so it can be used as a quarter-inch hex wrench. But to articulate just how small in diameter the head is, it's the size of the outside diameter of a 10mm socket. So anywhere that you can get a 10mm socket, you can get this tool, at least when it's close in. So under dash work, all that kind of stuff, with 10mm can be awesome because this ratchet can just go right against the surface. And a lot of times that's really what you need. Also when working with hose clamps, those types of situations. Traditional screw type hose clamps. So with the anvil, in comparison to some other compact ratchets, we have a couple of Titans here. We can see it's about the same length, but these Titan quarter-inch drive ones are really designed to take a bit more torque and are a little bit heavier duty. So it's going to be about the same height as this Titan, which seems to be sold at AutoZone and O'Reilly's and pretty much every auto parts store. As far as the gearless clutch head ratchet, since it uses a push-through reverse mechanism, no, it's not going to be as short. This little anvil and this clutch ratchet is shorter than the standard for the little adapter. They did make a custom-made adapter, and it has a very nice chrome luster. It does hold the bits pretty firmly, too. I'm actually surprised. We can demonstrate that because I can put on a socket, and you will pull off the socket before the bit actually pulls out of the ratchet. So I do appreciate that. It has a little ring on the back. It acts as a stop so the bits don't want to push all the way through. So they didn't custom make one of these little adapters, and we can see that it's like made out of, well, they did a very deep chrome finish, and I would assume that this little adapter would be chrome vanadium versus the S2 steel that the rest of the little bits are advertised as. So you have 8 positions. I have a couple bits on the table here. And each one of the bits holds in pretty firmly. I'm actually pretty surprised. And then the little ratchet has a little detent area right here that it fits in. and then it folds closed. So even versus the nylon pouch, which the Velcro will wear out from the ToPeak, this little case is actually pretty robust. It's actually pretty high quality. It's a little bit funky getting it open because it swings, but it captures all the bits. So if this thing were to drop, fall, beat around some kind of bag, it would have to somehow end up in a position where it swings open and then get impacted enough to actually cause the little bits of the ratchet to fall out of their clips. So I actually like that kind of case. It did come with a keychain, a pretty high quality one, but I've already lost it, unfortunately. So one of the big advantages, and surprisingly enough, there's a lot of real good reviews of both the ToPeak and a few good ones of the PowerTorque. So apparently these will take enough torque to meet most people's expectations, working with 4, 5, 6 millimeter fasteners on bicycles and that type of thing, kind of stuck and stubborn screws. The lifetime warranty is a nice little peace of mind. The height, it just will never compete with some of the modern stuff like these super slim ratchets. Using the same size sockets with any of those, much less these pass-through ratchets, because the way the socket actually sits in like an oversized bit. I mean, this micro ratchet, just its little anvil adapter, is taller than this whole, and this is also happens to be a PowerTorque, is still taller than this ratchet with its 10 millimeter socket. I mean, something like this is absolutely unbeatable. That's like 5/8 of an inch tall right there. So it'll never be quite that short, but of course, the head diameter, there's just a huge difference right there. And I just realized, since this is also 1/4 inch capable, I just did a ratchet through another ratchet, and now I'm ratcheting one ratchet with another. Who knows why I did that? So where this little guy comes into his own is any fasteners that are just Phillips, anything that can be driven with a bit, all the Torx and Pentalobes, Phillips, hexes, anything that basically isn't an external hex type fastener. This little thing will always beat it. If we take something like this and put a similar compact Phillips bit in, then we can, come on now, we can really see where it comes into its own, and now it's going to be super compact because the head is only going to be as tall as the bit that you're using. And you can see how much of the hex sticks out. So any of this, including this little 1/4 inch adapter, you can actually grind a little bit of the back of it off. The spring really does hold in pretty well. You really do need to push and pull at the same time. But you can grind like at least 1/8 of an inch off the back of any bit just to get it to be even more compact. What I also noticed is the hole is really nicely sized, so you can do something where you put the bit in backwards, and it allows you to offset the ratchet some. And what this does is this exemplifies exactly how short that it could get, because you could basically grind the rest of the bit flat, and that's how long it would be. So that would fit in any situation. It would be even far shorter than these little Craftsman angle drivers, as we can see. If it didn't have that back end, this would be super duper tiny. So I think this thing is neat, and that's why I wanted to talk a lot about it and just do these various comparisons and show it in my camera that doesn't want to focus today. I just wanted to say that all these little micro ratchets always seem to be pretty expensive, just relatively speaking. There are some really nice ones online that are $100, $110, $120. It's really surprising for the sets. And really, because for them just to not shatter the first time you use them, they really do need to use high quality materials with just the right heat treatment, and it costs a bit more money. Plus, everything's so small, it really has to be quite precision made, otherwise the ratcheting mechanism just won't work, or will skip, or have some other kind of various issues. So anyway, just a neat little micro ratchet, and really wanted to share a video about it. And I think this really is competitive for one of the world's smallest ratchets. At least that's a pearhead type with the reversing switch and an actual forged beam. I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.